Hi, James.
Welcome, friendly fans. I'm James from the Friendly Men. We have a bunch of guests joining me. We have Joe from Concrete Spew joining us. Hello, Joe.
What's up, guys?
And we got Andrew from Corpse Paint Records, which you've seen us do a lot of stuff on Instagram Live with. And then, of course, we have the guest of honor, the most handsome man to ever come from Texas and New Orleans. We have Todd Strange.
I know what guys want. I know what boys want.
I thought I was the one with bad eyes.
Any of the EYEAM stuff, will it have any B3 or organ on it at all?
Not yet, but I mean, who knows?
Oh, okay. Yeah, because the reason I asked that question is because it goes back to sort of what I thought the project might sound like before we heard Dreams Always Die with the Sun. And I was like, have you ever heard the band? They're fairly new. They're called Church of the Cosmic Skull. Does that ring a bell at all?
No, but I will check them out.
Check it out.
I'm trying to think. They're pretty like B3 driven, is how I could describe them. Very, very like classic rock, sort of like kind of Sabbathy a little bit, doomy and stuff. And that's what I thought that's where I thought you guys were going with EYEAM. But no, you didn't though. And it was exactly, I think, when we all heard it, we were like, this is exactly how it should sound. And
Oh, I mean, with this, the sky's the limit. I mean, I'm never going to say we're not going to do anything because you never know. We may. We're not putting no limitations on what we do or how we write or whatever. If somebody says, hey, well, I got this, I'm sure it'll end up in it. So, I mean.
Todd, the last time you and I have spoken with Andrew on Instagram, the Dreams Always Die with the Sun was coming out. Dreams always die with the sun. So you couldn't say much. So I want to backtrack before I hand it over to Joe. What can you tell us what you remember of recording that song?
It was just fast. It was a fast process. You know, I mean, we went from Andrew calling me to it wasn't much longer after that. We were in the studio, you know, and we were only there for a short period of time. Yeah, and then we all met up in New Orleans to do the video. And I mean, it's been kind of overwhelming in a way.
Joe, I love Joe's reaction right now. You're kind of getting that shock face, like, this is Todd Strange we're talking to, the guy who shared the Strange with Phil Anselmo. Like, how could this be overwhelming for Todd Strange?
Yeah, you got to realize I went from working on tractors to on a plane going to record, and I hadn't jammed with anybody in 5 years.
All right, well said, well said.
Now I'm back working on tractors and shoveling cow shit, so I mean.
Guys want. I know what boys like.
No, there's been so much, let's say, mystery connected to this project. That's not to say that, like, you know, Andrew, kind of, you're the one behind the helm with, as far as presenting the media side of things, you know, you and Raquel, but you've been doing it, I think, in a way that's been, you're not giving way too much to the point where it's like, oh, okay, I know what's going on in the studio. I know what the songwriting process is like. You've given just enough and not too much to where we're kind of like, oh, all right, we know what the songwriting process is like. You know, we know who's there in the studio engineering it and all that. I was just wondering, Todd, if you can describe, Andrew mentioned earlier that there was about an hour's time before you guys, you know, hit that record button. As I understand it, there was about an hour's time when it was just jamming. And also, Unchained was played, and you know, I don't know if you guys recorded that or whatever, but can you just describe that 1 hour's time when it was just you guys jamming and how that felt, and you know, looking over at Johnny and Kenny and being like, well, I'm not going to put words in your mouth. I was just wondering about that first hour of jamming.
Actually, it was like effortlessly. I mean, it was like we've been doing it together for a while. You know, I mean, look, I was nervous as hell because, like I said, I had jammed with a band forever. And I think everybody was a little nervous at first and all that, but then got in there, started busting each other's balls and stuff like that. And it was like we known each other for 100 years. Yeah, almost 100, I guess.
Well, because Andrew mentioned before, he said what was missing from the room was anything you'd expect as far as, you know, egos and things like that go. And as he was saying that, I was thinking, I was like, well, hell, Kirk has a typo tattoo on his hand. I'm like, I'm sure that Todd, you know, likes typo negative. And obviously those guys, they, you know, I'm sure they like typo and down and everything. So I hear that and I'm like, it sounds to me like you just got a bunch of fans in the room jamming and stuff and shit.
Yeah, there was no egos in the room at all. None. Probably Andrew had the biggest ego.
Hey. Yeah, that's what I was telling Todd, that when I went to go pick up Johnny, that you guys were at the rehearsal studio, and that was kind of the first time that you guys were all, you know, talking, obviously minus Johnny, but as far as three of y'all were plugging in the instruments and making noise. And I was like, I don't know what they were talking about. I was like, I wasn't there. I think I was getting Johnny from the airport. But when Johnny walked in, you know, I said, to me, the vibe, there was no egos, and that everybody was all wanted to be there. And it seemed like everybody was just kind of relaxing and coming down from the travel day. And then Johnny walked in and got news that his daughter was driving up. And so he was kind of like, hey, my daughter's coming. And it kind of like everybody has that family vibe, like instantly. And everyone just kind of like, you know, it felt like almost like an instant family of everyone relating to like what that's like of being away and about seeing the kid, you know.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, for me, I mean, it's been missing from my life. I mean, either you're bred to do this or you're not bred to do this. But there was no egos at all in that. I mean, really what was going on while you were gone was the two guitar players were trying to figure out something that sounds good on the amps. You know how they always.
Doing during this process? Were you just fiddling with your bass?
I was trying to say, gee, I hope I don't draw a blank.
I think McDonald's had 50-cent cheeseburgers today.
I hope I can remember how to tune this thing, you know?
So how long would you say Kirk and Kenny were working with each other on riffs then? Like a few hours, you would say?
No, not at all. I mean, not at all. I mean, they sent each other back and forth a few things and all that. But basically, I mean, Kenny was like, look, I got these riffs. And, I mean, and we were sitting in there and we were discussing kind of like what they heard in the riff and all that. And actually, the opening riff, it's kind of like whenever Johnny got there, he's like, man, I hear like this kind of like Sly and the Family Stone kind of just driving part. I was like, okay, we can do that. And so, I mean, actually, that was his idea to drive that first riff like we do in that song. And I mean, it just worked. I mean, the terminology, like somebody can say something in the room and the other three pick up on it, I mean, instantly like that. So
my mind is blown right now because of what I just heard, that not until that day were those guys trying to find the tone. Like, again, this whole time I've been thinking it's like, oh, they probably knew like long in advance what the guitars are going to sound like and, you know, how Todd's going to be in the mix. But no, I'm learning now that like the tone that we hear and the music wasn't established until that day, that out. Wow.
I mean, like, for instance, I mean, the way Crowbar tunes and all that, and they kind of discussed that, well, we're not going to tune that deep or whatever. So Kirk just kind of grabbed a guitar that he don't normally play. He brought his amp with him, his Kemper amp. But like, I mean, yeah, I mean, Kenny had his pedal board and he had a guitar, but he never even used his own amp. So that's what we were kind of doing. And this guy brought some amps down first to like check out or whatever, to see if they liked them or whatever. And yeah, so that was more or less what was going on whenever Andrew wasn't there.
Talk about organic, my God.
Yeah, I mean, look, whenever we were sitting in the studio, whenever the last day and all that, when the vocals were down and all that, and I remember just sitting there saying, "Damn, this is something. It could be something special." I mean, you know that. I mean, it was kind of like with the down when we did the demo. Everybody left the house going, "Damn, this could be something." And I hadn't had that feeling again until that, and I can remember sitting around with Kenny's wife. Was like, "Man, this thing is so catchy." I was like, "Yeah." When we were leaving, we were going to the airport, I think, that next day, and she goes, "Man, I can't get it out of my head." I was like, "Yeah."
Here it is, the first full single from the band EYEAM, Down, Crowbar, Typo Negative, Supergroup, fucking A. Fuck, that's fucking cool, man. What is this, Noah? Oh, man. Fuck. Oh, that's fucking cool, man.
I remember like hearing it that first time, and I didn't expect Kirk to like kind of in sort of like the later half of the song, like all of a sudden Kirk goes like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "Oh my God." This is like, man, that is insane.
Andrew, I want to say, I think Joe from Conquer Spew was the first guy on YouTube to do a full reaction video to Dreams Always Die with the Sun.
It was super cool. I remember I got turned on to it and I was checking it out, and my main concern was like, who's this guy? And I liked his personality out the gate, so I was like, okay. And then I was like, I hope he likes the song. I had that split second. I'm like, is this guy? I hope I'm making a friend today. But I wanted, obviously, it's okay if people are allowed not to like what you do. But it was so golden. It kind of like summed up of like, like how everything felt. Like his reaction to the song it really is like how it felt.
No, I mean, I thought it was awesome. It was incredible. I mean, I was a fan of to know there's people out there that get that high on music still,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sure. No, that's validation. Like I could never have imagined, I would receive. So for that, I don't have the words to express, my gratitude, my gratefulness. Again, if you told me 15 years ago, 25 years ago, 5 months ago that I'd be sitting here with you guys and I'd get your approval on something like this, that would have blown my mind. It truly would have. So for that, maybe at some point I'll be able to muster up, what it calls for to say thank you for all that. But it's enormous though. And like, yeah, as far as my reaction goes to Dreams and everything, I mean, to me, I didn't care about like being first or anything like that. I was just looking so forward to it. I'm like, okay. And I don't remember the date exactly that it dropped, but I knew that, midnight, that was for the full song, but we got the snippet. And I was really no stranger to listening to snippets.
All right, well, there you have it. That's the song is called Dreams Always Die with the Sun. And that is the first that we have heard from this new band called EYEAM, EYEAM.
Because as I'm trying to think if this might incriminate me here. There's another band that's been very well known for their leaks over the years, over a long, long time.
We want the airwaves. We want the airwaves.
little snippets would come out, and it's like they don't have a ton in their catalog. So us as fans, you know, we have to rely only on those snippets sometimes. So whatever, I could deal with like 8 seconds. And when we got the piece from Dreams, I was like, oh man, there's enough in here for me to have a good amount of, you know, visceral sort of like experience with it. And I knew, I'm like, okay, I know now where they're going with this, I think. And not until we got the full version did I know more, when, you know, I heard Todd and I heard Kirk, and like Kenny was doing something with the vocal line that I didn't expect it, you know, during the verses and stuff.
His vocals are on fire.
Oh God, yeah, and I didn't expect the verse to sound the way it did, because we got the chorus as far for the snippet, and it just like it worked so damn well and everything, and that was a lot of just, you know, regurgitation, and it's probably very disjointed what I said, so I'm sorry for that, but it's just, you know. Oh, and the other thing that Todd said too is that Todd said, you know, I'm surprised that there's still people out there like that, but I go in a lot of shows and stuff, can see that in a lot of people's faces, and my theory is just that, like, that's not put on display in the mainstream media and stuff, and we don't see a whole lot of rock fans as like reactions. They're not promoting it, but I know there are many of us out there, tons of us that live for this stuff, you know, and we're looking forward to EYEAM and are looking forward to the upcoming stuff. So we're out here and we're flying that flag, and you know.
Hell yeah, thank you.
No, now, all right, so let's move on to the video. The Dreams Always Died with the Sun video. My favorite part is you. He was just in the zone, and he's kind of jamming out, and, you know, Kirk's got the hat backwards, and Kenny's doing the front thing with his arms in the air, and there's Todd Strange. Like, there's Todd. If it ain't
in my own
Strange,
world.
I don't love it. So can you talk about the video shoot for you?
It was awesome, actually. I mean, it was easy. It was fun. I think everybody had a good time. Our wives were all there, so I mean, it was definitely family oriented. But yeah, I mean, Andrew got a hold of the Joy Theater, which has been a staple in Louisiana or New Orleans area for a very long time when it comes to music. And we had Mike Hold the Beast come in, which, I mean, I've known Mike for many years. And although I didn't recognize him at first with his beard, yeah, I mean, it was a good time. I mean, it was. I think Mike was already had it. He heard the song and had it envisioned on how he wanted to do things. And that's just me. I mean, anybody that's ever seen me, I'm in my own little world. Usually, I play with my eyes closed, and I may fall off the stage one of these days. But I mean, I just do my thing, man. I just do my thing. I get my own little world, and I don't know. It's just the way I am.
Yeah, sure. So the video I'm sorry, what was the name of the theater that it was in again?
Joy.
Joy Theater. Okay. No, you know, I think that the video, putting it there inside a theater, was probably a good. Well, I'm saying this as like a fan. You guys are the experts, so you know way more than me as far as how to present something like right out of the gate. But I think it was good that it was in a theater. You know, that was the first look that we got of EYEAM. That was the first image, and yeah, putting it in a theater was good because, you know, once again, it left a lot up to the imagination. It was like, okay, in the future, are they gonna bring like a theatrical package? Is it gonna be pretty bare bones? What are they gonna do with it? But regardless of what they do, we got this big open template here. It's them on a stage. We know at the very least they're gonna be on a stage and stuff. And you know, I mean, sounds like you guys are pretty happy with the video and stuff. Did it, like, when you were recording it, did you come up with like any other, like, you don't have to share them, but like, was anything like getting your noggins jogging as far as like, yeah, I guess what was the feeling like on stage there?
You know, after the song was recorded, Kenny called me and said, we have to do a video. The song is way too good for it. And I was like, you're right. And he's like, we don't need to just release a song. We need to release a song like we're a band. We need to do a video and show everybody that we're not just putting out a song, that we're a band, and we need to show ourselves as a band. And I was like, you're absolutely right. And he goes, if anybody's going to take us serious as a band, I think our first introduction needs to be us on stage as a band. And I was like, you're right. And so from there, obviously Todd and Kirk are from New Orleans, and I lived in New Orleans for the past 15 years. So I just started reaching out to my contacts, and my great buddy, Tom Gelini, who was a stage manager at the House of Blues when I worked there, was now running the production over at the Joy Theater, and he's been a tour manager for a bunch of New Orleans bands and international touring acts. I think the Dirty Heads, he worked with those guys for a long time, but kind of more in Pepper, like in along that scene of like the Sublime and the Jam. But he was always in production, and so I got in touch with Tom, and I was like, hey, dude, I've got some dudes in town. And we want to shoot a video. Can we do the Joy? And he set it up for us and made it really easy. And then from there, we kind of left it up to Mike and was just like, it's just going to be a live performance. We just kind of wanted it raw to where everybody could just see the band and know that this is a heavy metal rock band or a hard rock heavy metal band, not necessarily like, death metal, you know what I mean? Because everybody has these expectations, right? And it was just kind of, since it was so organic, we just felt like that theater, no thrills, no fills, no backdrop, just kind of the guys underneath the lights, bare bones of like, this is what we do. This is who we are. Like it's not for the glitz or the glam. It's not, it's like we are the song.
Well, let the music do the talking.
That's so cool. And I think a lot of bands, during their inception, like as far as videos go, they'll do like say lyric videos or like visualizers and stuff like that. And I mean, lots of times that's maybe all they can do. That's, all they have for a budget or something like that. That's all it will allow for. But I think it really, just like you said, when you have a full-scale video right out of the gate, that probably lets people know. Yeah, just like you said, this is who we are. This is what we do. And I think it came off beautifully. It really did.
And also now when people associate EYEAM, they think of the red color.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like now it's becoming your staple.
Well, if you say that the lighting director who shot that was Adam Ford. So big props to Adam Ford. He was the house LD. Adam Ford, I used to work together with him also at the House of Blues. It was just coincided that he was there. And I know Mike Holderbeast, who also worked in production at the House of Blues, and also has shot many videos for Phil's bands on Housecore Records. I think he's the Housecore record label videographer. He's done tons of projects for Phil, videos. In fact, my wife even did the hair for one of the Illegals videos that he shot in New Orleans, like at an insane asylum. I forget what track it was, but
I can see it in my head right now.
Yeah, so Adam Ford was responsible. That's his color, and big shout out to Adam, and he got credit on the YouTube as well.
Todd, back to you though. Now we're past with Dreams Always Die with the Sun. What can you say about your process with Cryptomnesia?
It was a different process this time. It wasn't as rushed.
It wasn't.
It was great. I mean, it got more and more relaxing. We kind of knew what to expect from each other from being there before. We come in with a lot more material and a lot more things to work on. And then, we actually laid down drums on 4 more songs, but we only wanted to do the one song to make sure we could get that done rather than half-assing 4 songs. So it's coming along, and I'm sure we got. I mean, I know I got some things to show the guys whether we use them or not when we go back to New Orleans. But I think everybody's really excited. I know Kirk is. I mean,
Yeah, super stoked. I've been Kenny and I were been talking quite a bit this week, and yeah, I'm excited too. With the release, there's been a lot of excitement and some communication with our publicist and trying to get things, to make sure that we're getting the word out, and so everyone knows. Obviously, I'm still not surprised that that there's. Let me say this. I'm grateful I'm finding out that people are there's new people tuning in all the time. So I know that there's more listeners out there that we can grasp. And so I want to make sure that we're giving content. The song in itself is amazing. So I think, as Todd stated about the video, let the music do the talking. So I think I can promote the hell out of it all if I want to, but what's going to really speak the loudest is when I'll tell you guys, there's this moment, like in the 2-minute part, like in the bridge of the song, that there's this call and response between Kenny and Kirk, and that little segment that they're doing, that might be my favorite piece of music of all time.
Ah, that's cool. That sounds, sorry, I didn't mean, that sounds awesome. Wow.
It is. It, like the first time I heard it, I was like, oh shit.
Thinking that, like, when you said call and response, like, the first thing that came to mind was like some sort of like a hardcore sort of thing, but and maybe it sounds like that, maybe it doesn't, but like I know that we don't have the single out yet, and the joy of hearing it is found during that first listen and stuff, but I was like, oh, what's he gonna say? So we know so far there's like, at least we know the song's at least 2 minutes long, because there's that, we know there's like a call and response and everything. And like James, you mentioned before, you said that Dreams Always Die with the Sun because the video is like very red. Well, right now with crypto, like I'm thinking like some blacks and some whites, and the word crypto is like, kind of refers to digital currency, digital something or other these days. So
he's talking about the video, is because that's definitely on my plate to sort out. I've got the travel arrangements, all that sorted out of getting together. Obviously the song's done, it's in production. The CD and vinyl, and I'm we're going to get together to finish the other songs that so we have a third single, and then hopefully do some guitars and on those before maybe Johnny gets there, and then kind of fill out the rest of the material that they created when we were there in October.
Oh no, you were there in July, because we were talking.
July, yes, there. July 4th, yes, in June, July, and finish round those songs out, and then leave time, because I know everybody's creative bug is always active, and so I think that'll leave plenty of time for the 3 songs to organically manifest during that. And when you put it together, we'll be close to having 8 tunes, with hopefully 3 finished, with Dreams and Crypto are already 2 finished, with the third one hopefully finish, and maybe even mix it together, because I haven't had that experience with these guys yet. I mean, I guess I did with Roger a little bit, but I really didn't know what I was doing. But I would like to be in a room, like maybe like as a band, and watch them all here and like mix a song together, because I think they're not the ones physically mixing it, but that experience is cool. I think that would make a good video, while maybe for a Crypto, even though but the point being of doing the other song, but we have to get a video while we're for a Crypto when we're there. And so I don't know what that's going to look like yet.
I guess, Todd, is there anything, maybe without giving away too much, or maybe not upsetting Andrew, but is there anything about the song, that you can say that's, I'm not going to ruffle any feathers or anything like that? And Andrew, if it's, it's cool that I asked Todd that question,
He can say whatever he wants about it.
I got sick when I was down in New Orleans when we were recording that.
Oh, that's right. You did. I remember. Yeah, there was a day. You did start not feeling well. That's right.
What kind of sickness was it?
I don't know. I took a COVID test. It wasn't a COVID, so I mean, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I was feeling like dog shit pretty much. Yeah. I mean, they sitting there saying, "Hey, play this," and I'm just kind of looking at them like, "What?" Kenny, I think, was like, "Are you all right? Are you gonna die?"
Yeah, no, you came through. It was great.
Oh yeah.
If there's anything about Cryptomnesia, you know, that you can say, like, is it a happy melody? Is it indifferent? Is it, you know, depressing? That kind of thing. If you can say it,
Your self-destruction has gone again.
I think it's heavy as shit. I mean, it's more of a direction. It's a little bit different than the Dream song. It's probably more in the vein of what this band is going to be like. It's not that much different. It's just the tone. We got our own tones now. We had time to work on stuff, so I mean, it was kind of like a little bit more
Developed.
I don't know. Yeah, developed for sure. I mean, and now, I mean, like the whole time somebody's recording something, somebody's in the other room writing something. So I mean, it was like, it was pretty good. I mean, to be honest, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's gonna be some surprising things on it. I mean, I think there may be like an acoustic guitar somewhere. That's not giving away too much, huh?
So
Yeah.
that excites me to hear that you guys might do something, you know, with acoustic guitar, because I feel like there's something about, like, Nola can do it. If you are a heavy band down there in New Orleans, you know, you can be playing. I'm referencing the Second Down record, which, you know, I know you were not on, but like Lies, I don't know what they mean, but, or, you know, the Landing on the Mountains of Megiddo, or, you know, Swan Song or something like that. Like, you guys can be heavy as all hell, but you can also be really friggin' trippy too with your acoustic stuff and everything. So it's like,
Well,
damn,
here's
if I
something
had done
that's
that too.
kind of weird in a weird way. With everybody tuning down to be heavy, we're more tuning up to be heavy.
One of the first times I got the guys together of planting the seed, Kenny came to visit New Orleans, and Kirk had a friend that had In-Low Guitars, the shop on Magazine Street, which is like this museum. It's not a museum. It's a collector's high-end guitar. Like, he had Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top's SG there. Like one of the first guitars ever made in existence. I mean, just these iconic instruments in this shop. And so they're getting, Kenny, of course, and Kirk are playing all the guitars and checking everything out. And Kenny, you talk about his acoustic, you know, Kenny's got the pipes and the jams too. And Kirk and Kenny did a duet of Rocket Man from Elton John.
Oh, wow.
yeah,
It's
there's
on
a
my
video.
YouTube. It's on my
Yeah,
YouTube. Yeah.
I've seen it. I've seen that video. It's a really cool video, and that's where the atmosphere between the two started to
I
really
knew
shine through.
then. The conversation that was just, I had in my mind, but I knew that they were going to play together that day, and that was laying the foundation of like what was to come, because I knew that and it was fun, but it wasn't until like 3 or 4 years after that, maybe even later, maybe 5 years, that we finally, you know, got them all in a room. Kenny and Kurt could do a whole acoustic record by themselves. A Jar, I mean, I know Jar of Flies was an acoustic, but more sap. There's like that, and I'm not comparing it to Alice in Chains, but the point being is like two records that, you know, from bands that, you know, were on the softer side, if you will, of heavy music, is why I reference those, not because of any other relation, but there's totally that element is more than alive in this band, as is going to, as you mentioned, the depths of doom. Know.
Todd, here's a question for you. Compare the recording process to Crowbar and EYEAM. What are some of the differences that when you and Kirk were doing Crowbar to modern technology? I know you said you were out of the game for a while. What are some of the key differences from recording with both projects?
Well, I mean, the new stuff, I mean, a lot of writing's done. Well, we're writing in the studio basically as we go, and with the Crowbar stuff, it was already all pre-done and all that in the jam rooms and all that. But it was a different process of recording back then. You know, everybody had to be on their P's and Q's because you had a budget and and you needed to pay bills too at the same time. So you were better prepared when you went into the studio rather than just writing on the spot, kind of, you know.
Todd, do you feel like, with the technologies available to us now, do you feel like it's easier, or do you feel like it robs you of any creativity or anything like that? That's a good question, James, the comparison between then and now.
No,
Did you feel
Crowbar was early 90s when things were analog, and now everything's all digital. So, I mean, there's plugins. I mean, Andrew knows, and
it's a lot easier to record nowadays. A lot easier.
And cheaper, probably. And you still have albums that sound better that they did 30 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I don't know. Some of them old albums, you can't beat the tones on them.
Yeah,
of course.
Exactly.
Of course,
I think, as long as there's humans in the rooms creating the music, I don't think being recorded by humans through microphones, I think once that process is lost, that there's going to be is different. So outside of that, of course, you can tweak sounds. That's what's fun, But I think capturing it, even though you may be capturing it digitally, and it may be a digital mic, and it may be run off USB, But there was cables, the amps were mic, guitars were mic, so it was maybe using today's technology. But definitely the way that those albums of the past that we are all that laid the foundation of what everyone loves so much are definitely still being applied with this band.
I was listening to one of Todd's earlier interviews, and he recorded some Crowbar stuff in Chicago at some studios.
That was the very first. That was the Obedience Through Suffering record. We went to Chicago for like a month and a half. Matter of fact, that's where the first time we seen Type O actually.
I heard.
It was cool. Yeah, it was Type O, Biohazard, and The Exploited.
Todd, is there anything in particular like that you remember about Time Heals Nothing? Was there anything special about that recording process? Because that's like one of my favorite Crowbar records.
Yeah, it probably one of the least that people talk about. Or we didn't really play a lot off of any of that record, But no, that was more or less when that was the third record. I think it was the third record where we were kind of going a little bit more hardcore and stuff like that. So we were definitely influenced by more of the New York hardcore bands at that point in time.
Now that's really interesting to hear because I grew up in the Northeast in New Hampshire. And for a long time, it had a pretty healthy, hardcore scene. And I do remember, around the early 2000s, all of a sudden I started seeing a lot of Crowbar shirts, on hardcore kids that maybe, first off, listen to, Hatebreed or, Death Threat or Sworn Enemy, bands like that, but they were also rocking the Crowbar stuff. And I always thought that was kind of interesting because, Hatebreed and Crowbar, different styles. But, I thought about it. I was like, well, why shouldn't those kids like it? Because Crowbar's heavy as all hell. And, you guys look tough. You're all, pretty big. I wouldn't want to talk to you, you know, at the, in a dark alley or something. I mean, I would, but like, you know, because I know who you are. But like,
Right.
yeah, like,
But I
you
mean,
guys-
we played shows all. I mean, we used to do a lot of touring in that area because it was cheaper to tour the East Coast than the West Coast for us. Because I mean, you had all these cities and all these venues, so we spent a lot of time on the East Coast in the young riding around in a rider van. You know, we used to put the gear and all of us in a rider van, and we'd rig it up like it was a little bus and all that in the back to where we could sleep. And at the time, used to be able to rent these rider 15, 16-foot vans, but you could walk through and it had two seats behind the front seats. So you could actually do that. Man, we'd rig it up with the with a dryer hose where we put AC in the back, and we had a power converter with a TV, and we'd bring the Sega Genesis and put in there. And we'd rig it up to where we had full places to sleep and all that in the back. And we toured out of a rider truck for years and years.
yeah,
and
yeah,
years.
yeah. I remember seeing Crowbar on the flyers like all the time and everything.
Joe, you know what got me into Crowbar? Beavis and Butthead.
Me too. Same thing.
Beavis and Butthead. When I saw Kirk singing in
said,
Beavis and Butthead,
"Okay,
and
now
then
what time is the
Beavis or
concert gonna
Butthead
be
was trying to
over?"
copy Kirk, like, and
This dude looks like that assistant football coach.
Yeah. What are you doing? Drop it, give me 20, boy! Now!
Yeah.
all right. So my question is, what do you remember about Beavis and Butthead?
Well, I mean, the guy, who was that? Mike Judge or whatever, something
Judge.
like that.
Yes, it
Yeah,
was.
he was like a fan of the band, and we had no problems with him making fun of us.
This music is slow and fat.
This is the kind of music you have on a workout tape if you're skinny and you want to get fat.
Yeah. It's like you put this on and then just like pig out.
But I mean, we made fun of ourselves, so I mean, if you can't laugh at yourself, you got a long, boring road ahead. So.
Every now and then you just go, I gave my heart and soul to you.
Amen
But yeah,
to
he
that.
was a fan of the bands, and I mean, I thought it was great. I thought it was awesome.
So Todd, let's go back some years though. What do you miss about the older days?
As I get older and all that stuff, I enjoy the studio more. But younger, I wanted to just play for people. I enjoyed that feedback and that high you get from fucking playing live. There's not another feeling like it on earth than playing live, in my opinion. It wasn't like we were on major labels or whatever, so they'd give us a budget to do a record in the early days, and you had to, and out of that money, you know, you tried to get some money, so you tried to kind of do things as efficiently as you could, so you were better prepared when you went into the studio. I mean, now you go in there and say, hey, I got an idea. Let's write off of this idea, you know. And I mean, honestly, it takes one idea, and then with the four of us in a room. Somebody will come up with an idea, and before you know it, probably within like 30 minutes, we got the core of a song down. So. And like I was saying before, with this band, we were actually tuning up to like, instead of tuning down. And I mean, to me, the stuff's still as heavy as it was if we were tuning it down. So
I agree. Were you guys in C before that?
Actually, with Crowbar, we tuned to B standard, and then we would drop A. We would drop the A on some song. I mean, and I think Type O used to tune like that as well. But yeah, no, I mean, the new song we would like, the crypto song is, I think, just drop D. I drop D. I don't think they stay just in D or whatever. So I mean,
Wow.
so it's kind of crazy.
Where do you want to go with this project?
I want to do whatever. I want to do everything we can do with it. I think we owe it to the music we make and to do everything we can with it. You know.
Movie soundtracks.
And I mean, I think, I mean, Johnny and Kirk are the two busy ones. And but I mean, I know Kenny's been saying, yeah, he wants to take it on the road. I want to take it on the road. I don't want to work on tractors, but I mean, you do what you got to do.
Todd, this has been great, man. I'm glad we were able to do
Thank
something
you.
with you again.
Hey, anytime. You just got to I can't promise you my connection's going to be good, but anytime.
Thanks for all the support from both of you guys. Have been super cool, you know, and you can't buy this type of support. And this is what I mean of like the organic and of the band. Like I haven't met you guys. We've never exchanged any money or anything like that. But you guys have put in your hard work and time and effort and texting me and phone calls and setting stuff up. And that really means a lot. And it doesn't take it for granted. And I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. You have no idea of like these guys out in the universe that help want to make this dream of mine successful. So much gratitude and appreciation for what you guys do. I mean that.
And Joe, keep it up. Stay as crazy and as wild as you possibly can. I love it.
I just hearing that is I don't know how to respond to something like that because look, I'm gonna be honest, you're Todd Strange. You know, so for me, hearing Todd Strange say keep it up and give approval, I mean, what the hell? That's insane, you know, and I'm so thankful.
So I think nowadays that everybody's got this stereotypical where they got to be this certain way or nobody's going to like them. Man, screw all that. Be yourself. Yeah. Be wild. Be crazy.
That's what I see. Yeah,
That's
definitely.
What the fucking music's about, being crazy.
Todd, where can people find your OnlyFans account, right?
My what? How do you know about that? My wife just told me something about this. She knows about it. I'm like, how the hell you know about it?
Because I got an account with the shower pictures that have been taken of you, Todd.
Your self-destruction has gone again.
Mashed potatoes are great.